So I was very happy, along with a lot of other liberals, to see that the Affordable Care Act was upheld by the Supreme Court. And it was Justice Roberts who cast the deciding vote. And it's a very interesting story. Apparently he flipped at the last minute. He was all set to shoot it down, but all of a sudden he grew very pragmatic and started thinking about the consequences of his actions. How about that? A Supreme Court justice thinking about the consequences of their decisions, okay? So, you know, maybe he's growing too smart to be a conservative. There are other cases of people who have been appointed by Republicans for being conservatives, and then they spend a little time on the court, and then they become more and more liberal as they start to think more and more about the consequences of their actions. So, you know, maybe he's becoming more pragmatic as opposed to, you know, Scully and Thomas, who are dogmatic and ideological, okay? So, you know, there are consequences to things. A lot of conservatives are very angered and surprised. They thought for sure that it was going to be shut down because it was not part of the Commerce Clause, that it would not be found constitutional under the Commerce Clause. And, you know, I always thought that it was a tax, that it was something we could impose because of tax laws. And if you look at the penalty, it's not that big. It's no more than what you would pay to get your own health insurance. What it attempts to do is to provide a disincentive for people, well, not even provide a disincentive, but to get rid of the incentive for people to skip getting health care insurance. So there's no financial advantage for people who think they're healthy to skip getting health insurance so that they can spend money on something else they deem to be more important in their lives, okay? What happens is eventually some of these people will get sick, they'll end up in the emergency room, and we'll end up paying for them anyways, okay? So this tax is something that pays for the infrastructure to protect these people even if they don't get private health insurance, okay? Someone has to bear the burden for people who do not have health care insurance, because no one, when they're sick, says, oh, just let me die, okay? That doesn't happen. They show up at the hospital and they incur costs, and then they expect everyone else to pay for it, okay? It's not fair. So this is a question of personal responsibility, and the penalty is a tax that is not cruel and unusual. They won't throw you in jail, they won't do anything to you except impose an additional tax on you. It's as if they increased taxes but allowed you a deduction on those taxes if you had private health insurance, okay? And I don't see it as being that unreasonable. I think it's a very reasonable decision by Roberts. I think that's, you know, if he's become more pragmatic and thinking more about his consequences, good. I will welcome him as someone being more liberal if he's going for that bent. You know, I'm still somewhat upset about Citizens United and the fallout from that, okay? That's going to be quite a mess to undo. But, you know, people don't see the effects of campaign financing, not directly, but when it comes to healthcare, there are people who are going to be directly impacted by this if they're unable to get coverage for pre-existing conditions and a whole host of other things that this legislation does. You know, we could go back to what's in the Constitution, and the Constitution does not contain in it any sort of judicial review that the High Court gets to decide what laws the legislature can or cannot pass, okay? This is something that occurred after the Constitution was ratified and has been with us for a long, long time. You know, the idea that we've got this gang of 9 justices who get to act as an aristocracy without consequence, deciding what laws we can have and what laws we can't have, that goes against the very values of democracy. We elect people, we elect the president, the executive branch, and the legislative branch to write and pass laws, okay? And any court, any court that overturns law, overturns what the legislature and the president, what the other two branches have agreed on and have passed, is what I consider to be an activist court. So the conservatives for years going activist court, activist judges, and liberal court, blah, 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 blah. This Supreme Court has been the most activist court in recent history. It overturned 100 years of precedent when it decided Citizens United in the more recent Montana case, which told the state of Montana they could not have any state laws regulating campaign finances. And the ridiculous opinion of Kennedy, there's absolutely no way that having people contribute money to politics could bring about corruption or the appearance of corruption. and these justices absolutely refused to hear any evidence to the contrary. Okay, so I'm still somewhat peeved about Citizens United and the Montana case, the fallout from that. But if Roberts wants to be more pragmatic, I welcome that, okay? And I hope it's a sign of good things to come. So anyways, that's all I'm going to say for now. Thanks for watching. Bye.